frightening trip to hell. Donkeys screaming for their mothers, a song you can't stop humming. Yes, we're describing Fantasyland. Why, what were you thinking? Hey everybody, it's Chris for AllEars.net. It's time for another bicoastal East versus West Coast battle, throwdown, showdown. This time in Fantasyland, Disneyland versus Magic Kingdom, the happiest place on Earth or the most magical place on Earth. As always, the results of this debate come straight from AllEars.net readers and social media followers. Fantasyland is themed after classic Disney fairy tale movies, but it might be a completely different land on each coast. Our readers and cast members are split about which land is the best. For the sake of competition, we're breaking down Fantasyland into 3 key categories: theming, food, and attractions. First up, Disneyland. Disneyland is the OG Fantasyland, which opened with Disneyland in 1955. It's currently filled with attractions based on classic Disney movies like Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, and Dumbo. And you can also find original attractions from opening day, although some of them look a bit different now. It's designed to resemble an old, worn Bavarian village after receiving major renovations in 1983, and it has a totally different vibe than Magic Kingdom's version of the land. The main entrance to the land is through Sleeping Beauty Castle, and fun fact, Walt Disney said that Fantasyland was his favorite land.
As someone who had only ever been to Disney World, walking into Fantasyland and Disneyland for the first time was truly unique and unexpected. It is kind of like walking back into a little bit of history because it is a lot. It's just the way that it's set up is so different, and you also get some of these more original rides like the Storybook Canal. You also get Mr. Toad there. It's particularly magical the way that it's laid out.
In Disneyland's Fantasyland, your only food options are quick service spots, and unlike Magic Kingdom, there are no table service restaurants. If you want to grab a bite in Fantasyland and Disneyland, you can grab turkey legs and chimichangas from Edelweiss Snacks, a cheddar garlic bagel twist from Maurice's Treats, burgers and flatbreads from Red Rose Tavern, and of course, popcorn and other snacks along Small World Way.
Now, the food in Disneyland in general is far superior to the food in the Magic Kingdom. I don't know why. You tell me why. I don't know. It's hit me. Okay, I will talk about the bigger quick service restaurant is Red Rose Tavern, which is loosely Beauty and the Beast themed. They do have the gray stuff there, and I've gone in there because you can mobile order a cup of coffee in there. But what I just remembered in my brain is that one of the greatest foods in all of Disneyland is available at mobile order in Fantasyland, and I'm talking about the chimichanga. Very simple dish. It's literally just a fried tortilla with meat and beans, and then you can get this red sauce to put on it, which is amazing. And at Edelweiss Snacks, which is right across from the Matterhorn, you can mobile order your chimichanga, which is a very good tip because the other chimichanga carts get really long lines because they don't have mobile order. And I tell y'all, when I ate a chimichanga for the first time in Disneyland, I was literally furious because this is a snack that I got at a cart that can also sell me an icy and a turkey leg, and it's better than anything I've eaten at a quick service restaurant in the Magic Kingdom. I was mad.
According to our readers, the average score for Disneyland attractions is 7.66. When it comes to Disneyland attractions, you get quite a few rides, including opening day attractions like King Arthur Carousel, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Peter Pan's Flight, Mad Tea Party, Snow White's Enchanted Wish, Casey Jr. Circus Train, and Storybook Land Canal Boats. Disneyland also features rides like Alice in Wonderland and Matterhorn bobsleds, and you can also walk through Sleeping Beauty Castle for some gorgeous dioramas that tell the story of Sleeping Beauty.
One thing that's super cool about Disneyland's Fantasyland is that you can walk through Sleeping Beauty Castle with like that little walkthrough attraction. I love the art of Sleeping Beauty. It's one of my favorite Disney films for visualness, you know. And on top of that, I've watched a behind the scenes video on how they do some of the effects, and that walkthrough features a lot of really cool practical effects, which are like my favorite kind. That's why I like Haunted Mansion. Fantasyland and Disneyland also like is more historic. It just is. Like, Fantasyland and Disneyland was like the land when Disneyland opened in the 1950s. So like, that land is like soaked in history. Soaked in history. Walt walked those streets. Walt walked those walkways. Say that 5 times fast. Walt walked those walkways. Walt walked those walkways. Walt walked those walkways. It's actually not as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Matterhorn bobsleds was the first tubular steel roller coaster in the world, located on the border between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. Its design was inspired by the Matterhorn Mountains in the Alps and uses forced perspective to look bigger, much like Sleeping Beauty Castle and pretty much every Disney structure. This ride has 2 separate, somewhat parallel tracks, and passengers sit single file in the ride vehicles, similarly to Disney World's version of Space Mountain. It's known for being somewhat of a rough ride, but it still remains a popular and classic Disneyland attraction.
Reviewer Lola May 2728 said, "A true Disneyland classic. This ride has always been a favorite of my family. The theming is so fun, and I love that there are 2 tracks to experience."
So there's something particularly special about the Matterhorn bobsleds in that you can only find it in Disneyland, and it also is an idea straight from Walt Disney. That being said, as much fun as it is, do not prepare yourself for a smooth ride because it is incredibly bumpy, it is very low to the ground, and while it is very fun, it's not smooth sailing, that's for sure.
It's a Small World is a Fantasyland ride in both Disneyland and Disney World, but they couldn't be more different. In Disneyland, the Small World facade is located outside, with guests boarding the boats outside of the building. Inside, animatronic Disney film character dolls are mixed in with the rest of the Small World dolls, including Alice, Tinkerbell, Lilo and Stitch, Ariel, and lots more. And as an extra bonus, the ride is decorated especially for the holidays with a special facade that lights up nightly.
Reviewer T. Petty said, "I have always loved It's a Small World, but when I saw the holiday version, I loved it even more. It is worth waiting in line for, and we rode it almost every day when we were at Disneyland. It makes the original version not as special, but still love it either way."
You know what's pretty in Disneyland? It's a Small World. That thing goes hard in Disneyland. It's way cooler than in Disney World. In Disney World, it's like, here's a regular old Renaissance fair building, as you are used to seeing in the rest of Fantasyland. But in Disneyland, they're like, come one, come all, to this beautiful, spectacular Mary Blair installation, where you can enter and see the art of the wonderful Mary Blair and view the children of the world. Nobody's out there doing that, but maybe they should add it.
Snow White's Enchanted Wish, previously known as Snow White's Scary Adventures, is a dark ride based on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and it was an original opening day attraction. This ride has been remodeled several times over the years, with the newest version featuring less Evil Queen, who was widely considered to be extra scary in the past versions of the ride, though we have no idea why. In 2021, Snow White's Enchanted Wish opened with less scenes with the Evil Queen and more Snow White. Other Disneyland dark rides like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and Pinocchio's Daring Journey can be, well, just plain creepy.
Do I not get to talk about the attraction? I better get to talk about the attractions. Okay, I do. All right, calm down, everyone. One thing that people need to know about Disneyland's Fantasyland is it's actually a nightmare, and I say that with the highest praise and compliment I can muster. Every one of those old school style dark rides in Fantasyland is terrifying. And if they were to tell me Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Pinocchio's Daring Journey, Alice in Wonderland, Snow White were being removed, I would riot. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, you literally get in a car accident and go to hell. I hope it's there forever. In Pinocchio's Daring Journey, which often gets overlooked, you are one of the kids that is being captured to become a donkey boy and work in the salt mines. And Pinocchio is for sure the scariest Disney movie of all time. Also The Witch and Snow White, a nightmare. The Sleeping Beauty walk through the castle, a diorama of the movie, very fun. Maleficent, nightmare. Alice in Wonderland, the whole thing's just a trippy nightmare. All the classic dark rides are a nightmare, but boy do I love them.
The pros. Disneyland's Fantasyland is the OG history-filled Fantasyland. You could still ride a bunch of rides that have been there since Disneyland opened, and that walkthrough of Sleeping Beauty Castle is a blast. The cons, it has slightly fewer ride options than Magic Kingdom, and the opening day dark rides can be a little scary. Hungry? Well, you're looking at fast food only. Before we move over to the East Coast, head over to AllEars socials on Facebook and Instagram for more Disney World throwdowns and AllEars.net to leave your reviews for everything Disney parks related, hotels, restaurants, rides, and more. It's all up to you to change this list right now by leaving your own review, and who knows, your opinion may be a tiebreaker in a future episode. Next up, Magic Kingdom. Fantasyland and Magic Kingdom today looks quite different from opening day, having gone through a major remodel and expansion from 2010 to 2014. As of now, Fantasyland is made up of 3 different sections, including Classic Fantasyland, New Fantasyland, and Storybook Circus. New Fantasyland was added in 2012 and includes additions such as Ariel's Grotto, Enchanted Tales with Belle, Be Our Guest Restaurant, and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
I love Disney World's Fantasyland. It's usually extremely crowded, which is not a big plus. I actually do tend to steer clear when I'm in Magic Kingdom. However, it's got to be the best land in Disney World for kids. It's so magical. There are 3 castles, Rapunzel's Tower. You can meet the princesses. You can meet the evil stepsisters. You can fly over Tiny London on Peter Pan's Flight. You can ride It's a Small World. You can ride the Carousel. You can ride Winnie the Pooh, which is a ride that I loved. I'll tell my friend Duckfest. Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid and Storybook Circus and all that. So I really, really do love Fantasyland.
Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland includes both quick service and table service, with some of the most popular restaurants in Disney World like Cinderella's Royal Table and Be Our Guest Restaurant. And trust me, a trip to Disney, all the time, travel, money, is pretty worth it when you look at your kid's face and tell her she's going to eat inside that castle. That's magic. Anyway, there's plenty of quick food options such as Cheshire Cafe for slushies, Friar's Nook for tots, Pinocchio Village House for flatbreads, Gaston's Tavern for warm cinnamon rolls, Storybook Treats for ice cream, and Prince Eric's Market for turkey legs and mermaid slushies. Yes, there is a bit of everything.
Magic Kingdom food is generally bad. There's not great restaurants in the Magic Kingdom. That's a pretty widely accepted thing. If there was one land with decent food, it might be Fantasyland, because you've got Be Our Guest, which, while overpriced for the food alone, is a very nice and wonderful experience to go into that restaurant, and it's definitely something you can't do anywhere else. You've also got really good treats in Fantasyland, like the Gaston's Tavern Cinnamon Roll, the Cheshire Cattail from the Cheshire Cafe. You've got the loaded tots from Friar's Nook, the Peter Pan Dole Whip Lime Float, and other treats at Storybook Treats. So Disney World's Fantasyland actually has pretty decent treat action.
According to our readers, the average score for Disney World Fantasyland attractions is 8.87. Magic Kingdom has more attractions than Disneyland, including classics like Mad Tea Party, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, and Peter Pan's Flight, and additions like Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is one of the most popular Disney World rides, as it's one of the more family-friendly roller coaster options in all the parks. It's a steel roller coaster with swaying ride vehicles, and it takes guests on a journey inside and around the mine. The ride queue is interactive with gem games and barrel projections, and many of the ride's audio animatronics are actually from Snow White's Scary Adventures, which closed in Disney World in 2012. But it's only 3 minutes long, which can feel really short when compared to the wait time.
An anonymous reviewer said it's like Big Thunder Mountain, but it's Snow White themed. So much fun.
There's no denying Mine Train is an incredibly fun ride. The animatronics are awesome. The ride setup is really unique and just fun getting to rock back and forth in that ride vehicle. That being said, it is usually a very long wait, and it needs to be said that the ride itself is quite short. So you could be spending upwards of an hour for a ride that's only a few minutes long.
Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid is another newer ride in Fantasyland, having opened in 2012. This dark ride has guest-board omni-mover clamshells, and they travel first to sea, then later to land through scenes of The Little Mermaid. In contrast with Disneyland's dark rides, this ride isn't necessarily scary. Unless, of course, you're Molly and have traumatic childhood issues with Ursula.
Reviewer Rebecca said, "Ride this at least once. The line usually isn't that long, but there's nothing groundbreaking about this dark storybook ride. There are some beautiful moments on this ride, but it's not something that I feel like I need to do every time."
Let's see, under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid, I have mixed feelings about this ride because on the one hand, I'm glad that they added a classic ride through the movie dark ride. That's very like OG Disney. I'm not sure they executed it that well. That ride's a little boring. And the animatronics were this like generation of animatronics that was very brief. It was like once they upgraded to a new type of facial articulation, and then before they did the projector faces. So the animatronics are a little scary, except for Ursula. She's amazing. Why didn't we get an exciting fight scene? Like even just like Eric driving the ship in a storm would have sufficed. But it's literally like kiss the girl happily ever after. Like that's like what?
It's a Small World is an opening day Magic Kingdom attraction, and it's pretty different from Disneyland's version. Both the ride queue and the facade are located indoors, and the facade is a bit smaller with no wooden dolls. The ride itself is a little shorter than Disneyland's version, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and there are no Disney film character dolls in the ride. But you still get that classic song, whether you like it or not.
Disney World's Small World is obviously worse than Disneyland's Small World. It's not the original, for starters. The original is typically better. Two, that beautiful Mary Blair facade at the Disneyland one is just, they tried to do it inside at Disney World, and it's very, very nice, but it does not compare to the beautiful Disneyland Mary Blair facade with the clock. And the train goes right by it, and at Christmas time they hang a million Christmas lights on it, and it's just like so incredibly beautiful. I also love the upgrade to It's a Small World, which I know a lot of people protested that they were gonna put IP and Disney characters into Small World, but the way they did it was so subtle, and they just added like, now when you're in the United Kingdom section, Peter Pan and Tinkerbell in Small World doll fashion are flying. In Hawaii, Lilo and Stitch are there, and they just added them in just like a really nice way. I'll tell you one thing, I've never been trapped on the Disneyland version of this ride for 90 minutes.
All right, let's talk pros and cons. The pros. Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland is huge. There's a wide variety of food options, and Cinderella Castle is a magical sight. The cons? Disney World is missing the historic charm of Disneyland's Fantasyland. The expansion of Fantasyland kind of feels like a weird mix of lands, and there's no castle walkthrough. All right, let's see who wins, but first, give us a like and click that thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Don't forget to ding that little notification bell to get an instant notification anytime we post a new video. And if you really want to be part of the fun, be sure to follow us on social media at AllEars.net. Got it? Good. On we go. So when it comes to Fantasyland, Disneyland and Disney World are really different. Surprising no one, size is on Magic Kingdom's side, but Disneyland has that original Fantasyland charm. According to our readers and social media followers, the winner of the Fantasyland debate is Magic Kingdom. Apparently, unintentionally frightening rides are not what most people are looking for. I'm looking at you, Mr. Toad and Duck Fist. You can start your comment war now. This is Chris for AllEars.net. See you next time.
Walk those walkers. Walk those walkers. Walk those walkers.